The first time Jasmine Carter stepped onto the mat after her injury, the crowd held its breath. The scars on her knee told a story of pain, but the fire in her eyes? That was pure defiance. She wasn't just fighting her opponent. She was fighting the ghost of everything she'd lost. And this time, she refused to lose. But something will happen next, in the story that you would have never imagined. From which country are you enjoying this story? Please make sure to tell us in the comments. Subscribe now to follow her journey from broken to unstoppable. The twists ahead will leave you breathless.
The morning bell rang with its usual sharp insistence, slicing through the chatter of students lingering outside Lincoln High School. The late August heat pressed down on the crowded sidewalks, making the air feel thick and sluggish. Among the stream of students filing through the front doors, one girl moved differently. Not rushing, not lingering, just steadily making her way forward like she'd done this 1,000 times before at other schools and other towns. Jasmine Carter adjusted the strap of her backpack as she climbed the front steps. Her dark curls were pulled back in a tight ponytail, revealing the sharp angles of her face. She wore no makeup, just a simple black hoodie over her t-shirt despite the heat. The headphones around her neck weren't playing music. They never did at school. They were her armor, her way of controlling how much of the world she had to engage with. The front office smelled like industrial cleaner and stale coffee. Jasmine waited patiently at the counter while the secretary finished a phone call. "New student?" the woman asked without looking up. "Yes, ma'am." Jasmine slid her transfer papers across the counter. "Jasmine Carter." The secretary finally glanced up, taking in Jasmine's athletic frame, the careful way she held herself. "What grade?" "Junior." The woman hummed as she typed. "We'll get your schedule printed out. You'll want to stop by the guidance office after second period to dash." "I know the drill," Jasmine said softly. "This isn't my first transfer." Something in her tone made the secretary look up again. Really look this time. The girl's brown eyes were calm but guarded, the kind of eyes that had seen too much for 17 years. The secretary opened her mouth to say something else, then thought better of it and went back to typing. When Jasmine stepped back into the hallway with her schedule, the warning bell had already rung. The halls were thinning out, which made the group of guys loitering near the water fountain all the more noticeable. Tyler Morgan held court at the center of his usual crew, his Letterman jacket slung over one shoulder despite the heat. He was mid-story, demonstrating some football move when he noticed the new girl walking past. "Whoa, hold up," he said, cutting off his own story. "We got a fresh one." His friends turned as one. Jasmine kept walking, eyes forward, but she could feel their attention like a physical weight. "Hey, transfer!" Tyler called after her. "You lost." Jasmine didn't break stride. Ryan, Tyler's right-hand man, let out a low whistle. "Damn, she just ignored you." Tyler's smile didn't waver, but something tightened around his eyes. "Nah, she just didn't hear me." He jogged a few steps to catch up, falling into step beside Jasmine. "I said you lost?" This time Jasmine stopped. She turned her head just enough to look at him. "No." The guys behind Tyler snickered. "Oh," one of them fake whispered. "She's got attitude." Tyler leaned in, close enough that Jasmine could smell his cheap cologne. "Listen, new girl, you might want to learn how things work around here before you start acting tough." Jasmine didn't flinch. "Move." The hallway, already quiet between classes, went completely still. Tyler's smile faltered for half a second before he recovered. Ryan laughed nervously. "Damn, she just dismissed you, bro." Tyler's jaw worked. He wasn't used to being ignored, much less outright dismissed. He opened his mouth to say something else, but the final bell rang, cutting him off. Jasmine didn't wait for him to finish whatever threat he was cooking up. She just walked away, leaving Tyler standing there, his friends watching, the entire hallway buzzing with the exchange they'd just witnessed. By third period, the whispers had spread. "Did you see Tyler try to talk to that new girl? She shut him down hard. Who does she think she is?" In the cafeteria at lunch, Jasmine sat alone at the end of a long table, methodically eating her sandwich while pretending not to notice the stares. Across the room, Tyler held court at his usual table, laughing too loud, throwing glances her way. "You gonna let that slide?" Ryan asked around a mouthful of pizza. Tyler's fingers drummed against his soda can. Nah. He stood abruptly, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. Conversations nearby stuttered to a stop as people noticed him walking toward Jasmine's table. He stopped right in front of her, blocking the light. "You know," he said, loud enough for nearby tables to hear, "you're kinda cute when you're trying to be all mysterious." Jasmine didn't look up. Tyler's smile turned sharp. He lifted his soda can, then, accidentally, tipped it. Brown liquid splashed across Jasmine's open notebook, her bag, the table. Gasps and laughter rippled through the room. Jasmine stared at the mess. Then, slowly, she lifted her eyes to Tyler. "Clean it up." Tyler blinked. "What? Clean up?" The cafeteria held its breath. Tyler laughed, glancing at his friends like, "Can you believe this? Or what?" Jasmine stood. What happened next was too fast for anyone to process. 1 second, Tyler was smirking. The next, his back hit the floor with a thud that shook the table. The cafeteria erupted. Jasmine stood over him, her expression calm, like she hadn't just taken down a guy twice her size in half a second. Tyler's face burned red. He scrambled up, fists clenched, but something in Jasmine's eyes made him hesitate. The whispers were different now. "Did you see that? She just dropped him. What the hell was that?" Jasmine picked up her bag, wiped the soda off her books, and walked away like nothing had happened. But something had. And Tyler? He wasn't laughing anymore. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as Jasmine walked away from the cafeteria, her breathing steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. The stares burned into her back, but she kept her chin up, eyes forward. She'd been through this before. The whispers, the shocked expressions, the sudden awareness from people who hadn't given her a second glance before. The bathroom door swung shut behind her, cutting off the noise from the hallway. Jasmine gripped the edge of the sink, her knuckles turning white as she stared at her reflection in the mirror. The girl looking back had seen this play out too many times. New school, new bullies, same old story. She turned on the faucet, letting the cold water run over her wrists. The familiar routine grounded her. Count to 5. Breathe. Assess the damage. The soda had soaked through her math notebook, the pages warping as they dried. She'd have to recopy her notes tonight. The door creaked open, and Jasmine's shoulders tensed before she forced them to relax. A petite girl with curly red hair peeked in, her eyes wide behind thick glasses. Are you okay?" the girl asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jasmine turned off the water. "I'm fine. That was amazing what you did out there." The girl stepped fully into the bathroom, glancing over her shoulder before letting the door close. Tyler's had it coming for years. Jasmine grabbed paper towels to dry her hands. "It was nothing. Nothing. He's like twice your size." The girl hesitated, then stuck out her hand. "I'm Emma, by the way. Emma Chen." Jasmine looked at the offered hand for a beat before shaking it briefly. "Jasmine. I know. Whole school knows now." Emma adjusted her glasses nervously. "Look, you should know. Tyler's not going to let this go. His dad's on the school board and dash. I can handle Tyler." Emma opened her mouth, then closed it. "Right. Of course. Just be careful, okay? He's got a way of making life miserable for people who cross him." Jasmine tossed the paper towels in the trash. "Thanks for the warning." The bell rang, startling Emma. "Oh crap, we're going to be late." She hesitated at the door. "You're in Mr. Kowalski's history next, right? I can show you the way if you want." Jasmine studied Emma's face, the genuine concern, the nervous energy. It had been a long time since anyone at school had offered her kindness without an agenda. "Sure," she said finally. "That'd be helpful." As they walked through the now empty halls, Emma kept glancing at Jasmine like she wanted to say something else. Jasmine could practically see the questions bubbling up. "Where'd you learn to do that? Why'd you transfer here? What's your deal?" But to her credit, Emma kept them to herself. For now. Mr. Kowalski's classroom was already full when they arrived. Conversations died as Jasmine walked in, every head turning to look. Even the teacher paused in writing the day's agenda on the board. "Ah, you must be our new student," Mr. Kowalski said, recovering quickly. Jasmine Carter? Yes, sir. He gestured to an empty seat in the front row. Welcome to U.S. history. We're just starting our unit on the civil rights movement, which seems... His eyes flicked to the whispering students behind her. Timely. Please take your seat. Jasmine slid into the desk, hyper-aware of the stares drilling into her back. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw Emma take the seat beside her, shooting her a quick, reassuring smile. The whispers started before Mr. Kowalski even began his lecture. Saw her take down Tyler Morgan. Like something out of an action movie. Who the hell is she? Jasmine kept her eyes fixed on the board, her posture perfect, her expression neutral. She'd perfected this, the art of being present but untouchable. The trick was in the breathing. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Steady. Controlled. Like before a match. The memory flashed unbidden. The roar of the crowd, the feel of the mat beneath her knees, the weight of another body straining against hers. The sharp taste of victory. The crushing weight of defeat. A pencil tapped against her desk, pulling her back to the present. Emma slid a folded note toward her. Jasmine hesitated, then opened it under the desk. Don't let them get to you. They're just shocked someone finally stood up to Tyler. P.S. You're my new hero. Jasmine glanced at Emma, who gave her a thumbs up before pretending to pay attention to the lecture. Something loosened in Jasmine's chest. Just a little. The rest of the period passed in a blur of dates and names Jasmine only half processed. When the bell rang, she gathered her things quickly, eager to escape the staring. Jasmine, Mr. Kowalski called as the class filed out. A word. She approached his desk warily. Up close, she could see the lines around his eyes, the salt and pepper stubble on his chin. His posture was relaxed, but his eyes were sharp. I heard about what happened at lunch, he said quietly. Jasmine braced herself. Here it comes, the lecture, the threat of detention, the call home. To her surprise, Mr. Kowalski just nodded. Tyler Morgan's been a problem at this school for years. Administration turns a blind eye because of his father's position. He leaned forward slightly. Just be careful. The system here isn't always fair. Jasmine studied his face, looking for the trap, the ulterior motive. But all she saw was genuine concern. I know how to handle myself. I can see that. He handed her a textbook. If you ever need anything, academic or otherwise, my door is always open. Jasmine took the book, nodding her thanks. As she turned to leave, she nearly collided with a tall figure lurking just outside the doorway. Tyler. His eyes burned with a mixture of anger and something else. Curiosity, maybe. Respect. He opened his mouth to speak, but Jasmine walked past him without breaking stride. The whispers followed her down the hall like a living thing. But for the first time since transferring to Lincoln High, Jasmine felt something other than resignation. She felt awake. The final bell rang, releasing a flood of students into the hallways. Jasmine waited until the initial rush passed before gathering her books. The day had been long, every classroom buzzing with whispers about the cafeteria incident. She could feel eyes tracking her movements as she made her way toward the exit. Emma appeared at her elbow, struggling to keep up with Jasmine's long strides. So, that was quite a first day. Jasmine slowed slightly. I've had better. I bet. Emma adjusted her backpack straps. Listen, I was thinking. A shadow fell across them. Tyler and his friends blocked the exit, their expressions unreadable in the afternoon sunlight streaming through the glass doors. Emma froze mid-step. Jasmine kept walking. When she was a foot away, Tyler held up his hands in mock surrender. Relax, champ. Just wanted to talk. Up close, Jasmine noticed what she'd missed earlier. The faint scar above his eyebrow, the way his right shoulder sat slightly higher than his left. Old injuries. Athletes' injuries. What do you want? Jasmine kept her voice flat. Tyler glanced at his friends, then back at her. That move at lunch. Where'd you learn that? The question caught her off guard. She'd expected threats, not curiosity. None of your business. Look. Tyler shifted his weight, suddenly looking uncomfortable. My dad runs the wrestling program here. If you're looking to join... I'm not. The words came out sharper than she intended. A muscle in Tyler's jaw twitched. Emma tugged at Jasmine's sleeve. "We should go." Tyler's friend Ryan stepped forward. "You don't know who you're messing with, new girl. Tyler's the defending state champ at 182 pounds, Jasmine finished. "I know. Saw your picture in the trophy case." The hallway went quiet. Tyler's eyes narrowed. "How'd you know my weight class?" Jasmine cursed internally. She'd said too much. Lucky guess. For a long moment, Tyler just studied her face. Then something like recognition flashed in his eyes. "Wait a minute." He snapped his fingers. "Carter. Jasmine Carter. From Oakland High." Jasmine's stomach dropped. She turned on her heel. "Come on, Emma." But Tyler was faster, circling to block her path again. "Holy shit, it is you. I saw your semifinals match last year." His voice rose with excitement. "You were up 4-1 in the third period when I said I'm not interested." Jasmine's hands curled into fists at her sides. The memory surged up unbidden. The screech of sneakers on mat, the referee's whistle, the searing pain in her knee giving way beneath her. The stunned silence of the crowd as they carried her off the mat. Emma looked between them, confused. "What am I missing?" Tyler ignored her, his focus entirely on Jasmine. "You were ranked top 3 in the state before your injury. What happened? Why'd you transfer?" The walls felt like they were closing in. Jasmine shouldered past him, bursting through the doors into the afternoon heat. She didn't stop until she reached the bike racks, her breath coming too fast. Emma caught up, panting. "Jasmine, what was that about?" Jasmine fumbled with her bike lock, her fingers suddenly clumsy. "Nothing. Just drop it." "But drop it." The words came out harsher than she meant them to. Emma recoiled, hurt flashing across her face. Jasmine sighed, running a hand over her face. "Look, I'm sorry. It's just complicated." Before Emma could respond, a car horn blared. A beat-up Honda Civic pulled up to the curb, the passenger window rolling down to reveal a familiar face. "Need a ride, trouble?" Jasmine's older brother, Malik, leaned across the seat, his smile fading as he took in her expression. His eyes flicked to Emma, then back to Jasmine. "Everything okay?" Jasmine tossed her backpack into the car. "Peachy." She turned to Emma. "That's my ride. See you tomorrow." Emma nodded, still looking uncertain. "Yeah, see you." As the car pulled away, Malik glanced in the rear-view mirror. "Friend of yours?" "I don't know." Jasmine slumped in her seat. "Maybe." Malik raised an eyebrow but didn't press. They drove in silence for a few blocks before he spoke again. "So, how was the first day?" Jasmine watched the houses blur past. "Eventful." "That bad, huh?" She told him about Tyler, leaving out the wrestling connection. Malik's grip tightened on the steering wheel. "Want me to talk to him?" Jasmine shook her head. "I handled it." Malik shot her a look. "By handling it, you don't mean?" "No, I didn't hurt him. Not really, anyway. Just made my point." They pulled into the driveway of their small rental house. The moving boxes were still stacked in the living room, their mother's work schedule keeping them too busy to finish unpacking. Jasmine headed straight for her room, dropping onto the bed with a groan. The ceiling fan spun lazily above her, doing little to combat the late summer heat. She closed her eyes, but all she could see was Tyler's face when he'd recognized her. Her phone buzzed. An unknown number. *Hey, it's Emma. Got your number from the class roster. Hope that's okay. *. Jasmine stared at the screen. Before she could respond, another text came through. Tyler's telling everyone you're some kind of wrestling prodigy. Is that true? Jasmine's stomach twisted. She typed back. It's complicated. 3 dots appeared immediately. Well, complicated or not, you're famous now. Just thought you should know. Jasmine rolled onto her side, staring at the trophies peeking out from a half-unpacked box in the corner. The polished metal gleamed in the afternoon light, each one a reminder of everything she'd lost. Outside, A car door slammed. Voices drifted up from the driveway. Malik and their mom home from work. Jasmine quickly covered the trophies with a sweatshirt just as her bedroom door creaked open. Jazz! Her mother stood in the doorway, still in her nurse's scrubs, her braids piled into a messy bun. How was? She stopped, taking in Jasmine's expression. Oh, honey, that bad. Jasmine opened her mouth to lie, but the words caught in her throat. To her horror, her eyes burned with unshed tears. Her mom sat on the bed, pulling her into a hug. Tell me. And for the first time since the injury, Jasmine did. The morning light cut through the thin curtains of Jasmine's bedroom, pulling her from a restless sleep. She blinked at the ceiling, the remnants of last night's conversation with her mother still heavy in her chest. The trophies remained hidden under the sweatshirt, but their weight felt louder than ever. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Emma. You alive? School's buzzing. Asterisk. Jasmine groaned and dragged herself out of bed. The house was quiet. Mom already at her early shift. Malik probably out running. She dressed mechanically. Black leggings, tank top, hoodie. No point in trying to blend in now. The bike ride to school felt longer than usual. Every pedal stroke echoed the dread building in her stomach. She already knew what waited for her. The stairs, the whispers, Tyler's smug face. What she wasn't expecting was the crowd at the front steps. A group of students clustered around the entrance, their voices overlapping in excited chatter. At the center stood Tyler, holding court like always. But when he spotted Jasmine, the conversation died. The crowd parted as she approached, eyes tracking her every move. Tyler smirked, but there was something new in his expression. Something calculating. Look who decided to show up, he called. The legend herself. Jasmine ignored him, pushing through the doors. But Tyler wasn't done. Yo, Carter. He jogged to catch up. We need to talk. She kept walking. Nothing to talk about. Bullshit. He grabbed her arm, then immediately let go when she whipped around to face him. Okay, just listen. He lowered his voice. Coach knows who you are. Jasmine's stomach dropped. Yeah, Tyler said, reading her reaction. And he really wants to see you. The wrestling gym smelled like sweat and old mats. The familiar scent sent a wave of nostalgia crashing over Jasmine, so strong it nearly knocked the breath from her lungs. Coach Reynolds stood near the far wall, clipboard in hand. Mid-40s, salt and pepper buzz cut, the kind of posture that screamed military. He turned when they entered, his sharp gaze locking onto Jasmine. So, he said, you're the one who put my star wrestler on his ass. Tyler flushed but didn't deny it. Jasmine crossed her arms. What do you want? Coach studied her for a long moment. Then, without breaking eye contact, he said, Tyler, give us the room. Tyler hesitated. But coach. Asterisk now. Asterisk. The door clicked shut behind him, leaving Jasmine alone with the coach. You were good, he said finally. Real good. State qualifier as a sophomore? That's not luck. Jasmine's jaw tightened. That was a long time ago. Not that long. He tossed the clipboard onto a bench. I watched your semifinals match. You had that kid beat until my knee exploded. Yeah, I remember. The words came out harsher than she intended. Coach didn't flinch. You rehabbed. Enough to walk. Enough to wrestle? Jasmine's pulse roared in her ears. I'm done with wrestling. Bullshit. He took a step closer. You don't move like someone who's done. You move like someone who's scared. The words hit like a slap. Before she could respond, the door burst open. A freshman stuck his head in, wide-eyed. Coach, principal's looking for you. Something about unsanctioned fights in the cafeteria. Coach sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. Tell her I'll be there in 5. When the kid left, he turned back to Jasmine. This conversation isn't over. Jasmine forced a laugh. Yeah, it is. She pushed past him, out into the hallway, and straight into Emma. Emma's eyes were huge. Dude, what is happening? Jasmine grabbed her arm, steering her down the hall. Nothing. Let's just go. But Emma dug in her heels. Jasmine, Asterisk look. Asterisk. She pointed to the bulletin board outside the gym. A bright orange flyer screamed in bold letters. Lincoln High Wrestling Tryouts. Next week. Underneath, someone had already scribbled in Sharpie. Carter versus Morgan. Be there. Jasmine's stomach twisted. Emma swallowed hard. So, you are a wrestler. Jasmine stared at the flyer, the ghosts of her past roaring in her ears. Not anymore. But even as she said it, she could feel the mat calling to her. The weight of another body against hers. The roar of the crowd. The win. And for the first time in months, she missed it. The fluorescent lights of the library hummed softly as Jasmine hunched over her notebook, pretending to study. Emma sat across from her, tapping her pencil nervously against the table. You're really not going to talk about it? Emma whispered. Jasmine kept her eyes on her book. Nothing to talk about. Yeah, there is. You're like some kind of wrestling superstar. I was, Jasmine corrected sharply. Past tense. Emma leaned in closer. Then why did Tyler look at you like you were his personal holy grail? Jasmine exhaled through her nose. She could still feel Coach Reynolds' eyes on her, the weight of that flyer burning in her mind. Carter versus Morgan. Like some kind of damn spectacle. A shadow fell across their table. Jasmine didn't need to look up to know who it was. Can we not today, Tyler? But it wasn't Tyler. Jasmine Carter? Jasmine looked up to see a girl with a sleek dark ponytail and sharp brown eyes. She wore a Lincoln High wrestling hoodie, her stance wide and confident. Marina Torres, the girl said by way of introduction. Team captain. Emma's eyes darted between them. Should I? Marina didn't even glance at her. Coach sent me. He wants you at practice. Jasmine closed her book with a snap. Not interested. Marina's jaw tightened. Look, I don't know what your deal is, but we need you. Our 135-pound slot is garbage, and sectionals are in 6 weeks. Something cold settled in Jasmine's chest. So this is a recruitment pitch? It's a reality check. Marina pulled out a chair and sat uninvited. You think Tyler's been bragging about you because he's impressed? No. He's pissed. And if you don't get back on the mat, he's going to make your life hell. Jasmine met her gaze evenly. I can handle Tyler. Not the point. Marina leaned forward. You've got a gift, and you're just... What? Throwing it away because of one bad injury. The words hit too close to home. Jasmine's knee ached phantomly. The memory of that scream of pain, the way her leg had buckled. *1 bad injury? Jasmine's voice dropped dangerously low. I tore every ligament in my knee. Doctors said I might never walk right again, let alone wrestle. So yeah, I'm throwing it away, because there's nothing left to throw. The library had gone silent around them. Even Emma looked shell-shocked. Marina studied her for a long moment. Then, to Jasmine's surprise, she nodded. Okay. Okay, Marina repeated, standing. But answer me this. When you took Tyler down, did it hurt? Jasmine blinked. What? Your knee. When you dropped him. Did it hurt? The question caught her off guard. Because the truth was... No. It hadn't. Marina smirked, reading the answer in her face. Practice is at 3:30. Be there or don't. She turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Tyler wanted me to give you this. She slid a folded note across the table. Jasmine waited until Marina was gone before opening it. 3 words. 1 match. You and me. Emma peeked over. Oh shit. Jasmine crumpled the note in her fist. Her heart pounded, but not with fear. With something far more dangerous. 1. The wrestling room was louder than Jasmine remembered. The sounds echoed off the padded walls, the squeak of sneakers on mat, the grunts of exertion, the sharp clap of bodies colliding. She stood just inside the doorway, her bag slung over one shoulder, watching as the team drilled takedowns in pairs. She shouldn't be here. The thought pulsed in time with her heartbeat. This was a mistake, a bad idea, a disaster waiting to happen. And yet, her fingers twitched at her sides, itching to grip, to pull, to compete. Didn't think you'd actually show. Marina appeared beside her, arms crossed. She wore a sleeveless training shirt that showed off the corded muscle of her shoulders. Her dark hair pulled back so tightly it looked painful. Jasmine kept her eyes forward. "I'm just watching." "Aha." Marina didn't believe her. "Well, while you're watching, pay attention to Rodriguez. He's our current 135, and he's garbage." Jasmine spotted the kid in question, a wiry boy with a mop of curly hair who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. He flinched as his partner shot in for a takedown, barely resisting before getting planted on the mat. Marina sighed. "See what I mean? We're dead in the water at sectionals if that's our guy." Jasmine said nothing. Out on the mats, Tyler locked up with his partner, driving him backward with ease. Even from here, Jasmine could see the power in his movements, the way he controlled the tie-up, the sharp angles of his shots. He was good, really good, and he knew it. As if sensing her gaze, Tyler glanced over. Their eyes met, and he smirked before deliberately turning away, dismissing her. Jasmine's jaw tightened. "All right, circle up." Coach Reynolds' voice cut through the noise. The team gathered around him, dropping to sit on the mat. Jasmine stayed where she was, half hidden in the doorway. "Sectionals are 6 weeks out," Coach said, pacing in front of the team. "That means 6 weeks to clean up the slop I've been seeing." "Rodriguez." The curly-haired kid flinched. "You're drilling sprawls until you puke. I won't have my 135 getting pinned in the first period again." Rodriguez's shoulders hunched. "Morgan," Coach continued, "you're working setups. No more bull rushing like a linebacker." Tyler rolled his eyes but nodded. The rest of the team got their assignments, and they broke off to drill. Coach finally turned to the doorway. "You planning on standing there all day, Carter, or you gonna come in?" Every head turned. Jasmine felt the weight of their stares like a physical thing. She forced herself to step forward. The team whispered. She caught snippets. Asterisk, that's her. "No way she's 135. Dude, she wrecked Tyler." Asterisk. Tyler's expression darkened. Coach ignored them all. "You're in sweats. You got shoes." Jasmine nodded. "Good. Go change. You're drilling with Torres." Jasmine blinked. "I'm not." "Did I ask?" Coach raised an eyebrow. "You're here. Might as well work." Marina tossed her a pair of wrestling shoes from the team bin. They were old, the laces frayed, but they'd do. Jasmine hesitated. This was it. The point of no return. She took the shoes. The locker room was empty this time of day. Jasmine sat on the bench, staring at the shoes in her hands. She hadn't worn wrestling shoes in over a year. The last time she'd had them on, she'd been standing on the mat at state semifinals, her knee wrapped tight, her heart pounding with adrenaline. She'd been winning, dominating even. And then, Jasmine shook her head, pushing the memory away. She pulled on the shoes, lacing them tight. Her knee didn't protest. That was something, at least. When she stepped back into the wrestling room, the team was already drilling. Marina stood near the edge of the mat, waiting. "Took you long enough," she said. Jasmine rolled her shoulders. "What are we drilling?" "Takedowns. Basic shit." Marina smirked. "Unless you're scared?" Jasmine didn't rise to the bait. She stepped onto the mat, the familiar give of the padding beneath her feet sending a jolt of memory through her. Marina took her wrist, demonstrating the grip. "We'll start slow. Just follow my." Jasmine reacted on instinct. One sharp tug, a step to the side, and Marina was on the mat, staring up at her in shock. The room went silent. Jasmine froze. She hadn't meant to do that. It had been pure muscle memory, the movement as natural as breathing. Marina's expression shifted from surprise to something like admiration. She grinned as she got to her feet. "Okay," she said, rolling her shoulders. "Now we're talking." This time, Jasmine didn't hold back. An hour later, she was drenched in sweat, her muscles burning in the best way. She and Marina had gone through every basic drill, takedowns, sprawls, escapes, and with each one, Jasmine felt something inside her loosen. She wasn't thinking about her knee. She wasn't thinking about the injury. She was just wrestling. All right, hit the showers, Coach called as practice wound down. Same time tomorrow. The team dispersed, chatting and laughing. A few of them glanced at Jasmine with newfound respect. Even Rodriguez gave her a hesitant nod. Only Tyler hung back, watching her with an unreadable expression. Jasmine ignored him, heading for the locker room. Not bad, Carter. She turned. Tyler stood a few feet away, his arms crossed. For a has-been, he added, but there was less bite to it than usual. Jasmine wiped sweat from her brow. What do you want, Tyler? He hesitated, then jerked his chin toward the mat. You still got it. She didn't respond. Look, he said, voice dropping. I know you think I'm just some asshole bully. You are some asshole bully. But I'm also the best damn wrestler this school's ever had, he continued, ignoring her. And I don't say that lightly. Jasmine sighed. Get to the point. Tyler met her eyes. Wrestle me. For real. One match. Why? Because I need to know. Know what? If you're really as good as they say. Jasmine studied him. There was something beneath the bravado, something almost like hunger. The same thing she felt when she stepped on the mat. The need to prove yourself. She turned away. I'll think about it. Tyler didn't push. He just nodded as she walked away. Jasmine hit the showers, the hot water washing away the sweat and grime. Her body ached in that good, familiar way, the way it used to after a hard practice. Her knee didn't hurt, not even a little. She leaned against the tiles, letting the water run over her face. She was in trouble, because for the first time in a year, she wanted to wrestle. The next morning, Jasmine woke before her alarm. Her body ached in places she'd forgotten could ache. The base of her neck, the small of her back, the muscles along her ribs that only flared up after a hard practice. She stretched gingerly, testing each limb, each joint. Her knee was stiff but steady. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Jasmine checked her phone. 5:47 a.m., then rolled out of bed. The floorboards creaked underfoot as she made her way to the kitchen, the pre-dawn light painting everything in shades of blue. She found Malik at the table, already dressed for work, scrolling through his phone with one hand and shoveling cereal into his mouth with the other. You're up early, he mumbled around a mouthful of cornflakes. Jasmine grabbed a banana from the counter. Couldn't sleep. Malik eyed her as she peeled it. How was practice? She froze. How did you? Please. He snorted. You came home smelling like a wrestling mat. I may have quit the team, but I know that stink anywhere. Jasmine took a bite of banana to avoid answering. Malik set down his phone. So, how'd it feel? The question hung between them. Malik was the only one who really knew what she'd lost. Not just the wrestling, but everything that came with it. The purpose, the control, the way the world made sense when she was on the mat. Jasmine swallowed. It felt okay. Malik studied her face for a long moment. Then he nodded, standing to rinse his bowl. Just be careful, yeah? She knew what he wasn't saying. Don't get hurt again. School passed in a blur. The whispers had shifted, less about the cafeteria incident, more about her showing up to practice. Emma filled her in between classes. Tyler's telling everyone you're going to challenge him for the 182 spot, she said as they walked to third period. Jasmine nearly choked on her water. What? That's not. Obviously. Emma rolled her eyes. But it's making Rodriguez panic, so that's fun. Jasmine groaned. The last thing she needed was more attention. But the attention found her anyway. At lunch, a freshman wrestler she didn't even know brought her a chocolate milk. Coach says you need to keep your energy up, he mumbled before scurrying away. In the hallways, kids she'd never spoken to nodded at her like they were old friends. And in the wrestling room after school, the team parted for her like she was something special. It made her skin crawl. Marina was already warming up when Jasmine arrived. Took you long enough, she said, not looking up from her stretches. Jasmine dropped her bag. We need to talk about Tyler. Marina paused mid-stretch. What about him? He's telling people I'm going for his spot. And I'm not, Jasmine hissed. I'm 135, not 182. That's insane. Marina shrugged. So set him straight. It's not that simple. Sure it is. Marina stood, rolling her shoulders. You wrestle him. You win or lose. Either way, it's done. Jasmine stared at her. You don't get it. If I wrestle him. If you wrestle him, what? Marina challenged. You might realize you're still good. You might actually have to admit you want this. Jasmine's hands curled into fists. You don't know anything about me. I know you're scared. The words hung between them. Jasmine's pulse roared in her ears. Before she could respond, the wrestling room door banged open. Tyler strode in, his usual entourage trailing behind. He spotted Jasmine immediately and made a beeline for her. Coach isn't here, Marina said before he could speak. Some meeting with the principal. Tyler ignored her, his eyes locked on Jasmine. We doing this or what? Jasmine crossed her arms. Doing what? You know what? Tyler stepped closer, well into her personal space. One match. You and me. The team had gone quiet, watching them. Jasmine could feel their eyes, their anticipation. She should say no. Walk away. Protect what was left of her knee. But Marina's words echoed in her head. You're scared. And damn it, she was right. Jasmine met Tyler's gaze. Fine. The team erupted. Tyler grinned, sharp and predatory. Now. Jasmine glanced at the mat, at the team watching them, at Marina, who gave her a barely perceptible nod. She took a deep breath. Now. They circled each other on the mat, the team forming a loose ring around them. No coach, no ref, just the two of them and the weight of everyone's expectations. Tyler shot first. Jasmine saw it coming, the slight dip of his shoulder, the shift in his stance. She sprawled instinctively, her hips driving down as his arms wrapped around her legs. The impact sent a jolt through her bad knee. For one heart-stopping second, pain lanced up her leg. Then it was gone. Tyler grunted, trying to power through her defense, but Jasmine was already moving, her hands gripping his shoulders as she rolled him to the mat. The team gasped. Tyler scrambled up, his face flushed. Lucky shot. They tied up again, their bodies straining against each other. Jasmine could feel his strength, the raw power in his movements. But she had something he didn't. Technique. Years of drilling, of perfecting every motion until it was second nature. She ducked under his arm, her hips driving into his as she lifted. Tyler hit the mat hard. The room exploded. Jasmine backed off, letting him up. Her breath came fast, her muscles singing with exertion. Tyler's expression had shifted from smug to something darker. Something desperate. He came at her again, harder this time. Jasmine barely dodged, his shoulder clipping hers as she twisted away. Damn Morgan, someone muttered. Chill. Tyler didn't chill. His next shot was sloppy but fast, his arms wrapping around Jasmine's waist as he drove her backward. She hit the mat with a thud, the air rushing from her lungs. Before she could recover, Tyler was on her, his weight pressing down as he worked for a pin. Jasmine's shoulder blades brushed the mat. For a second, she was back at semifinals, the crowd roaring, her body failing, the world narrowing to nothing but pain. Then she blinked, and she was here. Oh. With a snarl, Jasmine bridged hard, her hips driving up as she rolled Tyler onto his back. The team's cheers faded into white noise as Jasmine locked in a half Nelson, her muscles burning as she fought to keep Tyler down. He thrashed, his breath coming in ragged gasps. Get off! Jasmine leaned in, her mouth near his ear. Tap! Tyler went still. Then, with a sound halfway between a groan and a curse, he slapped the mat. The room erupted. Jasmine rolled off him, her chest heaving. Her knee ached, but it held. Tyler sat up slowly, his expression unreadable. For a long moment, he just stared at her. Then, to everyone's shock, he nodded. All right, Carter, he said, loud enough for the whole team to hear. You got my attention. Jasmine didn't know what that meant. But as the team crowded around her, buzzing with excitement, one thing became painfully clear. There was no going back now. The fluorescent lights of the locker room buzzed overhead as Jasmine peeled off her sweat-soaked practice gear. Her body ached in ways she hadn't felt in over a year. The deep muscular fatigue of a hard-fought match, the kind that used to leave her both exhausted and exhilarated. She flexed her right knee experimentally. A dull throb answered, but nothing sharp, nothing debilitating. Just the normal protest of muscles and ligaments pushed to their limits. The locker room door creaked open. "You decent?" Marina's voice echoed off the tile walls. "Barely." Jasmine yanked a clean t-shirt over her head as Marina rounded the corner, already showered and changed. Marina leaned against the lockers, arms crossed. "So, that happened." Jasmine snorted, stuffing her gear into her bag. "Yeah, it did. You know what this means, right? That Tyler's never going to let me hear the end of it?" Marina shook her head. "That you're back." The words settled between them like a physical weight. Jasmine's fingers paused on her bag zipper. "I'm not." "Save it." Marina pushed off the lockers. "You think that was just some random spar? That wasn't practice, Carter. That was a statement." Jasmine stood, slinging her bag over her shoulder. The movement pulled at sore muscles. It was a stupid ego match. Nothing more. Marina blocked her path to the door. "Bullshit. You wrestled like you had something to prove. And now," she grinned, "now everyone knows you're not just some washed-up transfer." The words stung more than they should have. Jasmine pushed past her. "I need to go." The hallway outside was empty, the school quiet except for the distant hum of custodial staff. Jasmine's sneakers squeaked against the polished floors as she made her way toward the exit. The late afternoon sun hit her face as she pushed through the front doors, warm and golden. She took a deep breath, the air crisp with approaching fall. "Hey, Carter." Jasmine turned. Tyler leaned against the bike rack, his own bag at his feet. He'd changed too, his damp hair dark against his forehead. "What do you want?" Tyler hesitated, an expression Jasmine couldn't read flickering across his face. Then he reached into his bag and pulled out something that made her stomach drop. "A wrestling bracket. I pulled your old tournament results," he said, holding it out. "You were ranked 3rd in state before." He trailed off. Jasmine didn't take the paper. "Before I blew out my knee?" "Yeah. Thanks for the reminder." Tyler shook his head. "That's not," he exhaled sharply. "Look, I didn't know, okay? About the injury. About any of it. And now that you do?" Now it was Tyler's turn to hesitate. He studied the bracket in his hands. "Now I get why you quit." The words hit like a gut punch. Jasmine's throat tightened. "But you shouldn't have," Tyler continued, looking up. "Quit, I mean. You're too damn good." Jasmine blinked. That was not what she'd expected. Tyler shoved the bracket back in his bag. "Coach is submitting the lineup for sectionals tomorrow. You should be on it." "I'm not. Just think about it." Tyler shouldered his bag and walked away, leaving Jasmine standing there, the weight of his words settling over her like a physical thing. The ride home passed in a blur. Jasmine's mind raced, replaying the match, Tyler's words, the way her body had responded like it remembered every drill, every move, even after all this time. The house was empty when she arrived. A note on the fridge in her mother's neat handwriting, "Working late, leftovers in the fridge. Love you." Jasmine bypassed the food and went straight to her room. The box in the corner seemed to glow in the fading light, the edge of a trophy peeking out from beneath the sweatshirt she'd thrown over it. With trembling hands, Jasmine pulled the sweatshirt away. The trophies gleamed in the dim light, 1st place, 2nd place, qualifying medals. At the very bottom, half hidden under a pile of old workout clothes, was a framed photo. Jasmine pulled it out. Her younger self stared back, standing on the podium at regionals, her medal around her neck, her smile wide and unguarded. Beside her, her old coach beamed with pride. Before the injury, before the fear, before she'd walked away. Jasmine traced the edge of the frame, her throat tight. Her phone buzzed. "Emma. Asterisk dude. The whole school is talking about you beating Tyler. You're basically famous." Asterisk. Jasmine set the photo aside. Another buzz. Asterisk also Coach Reynolds just emailed the team. He wants to see you tomorrow before school. Asterisk. Jasmine's pulse jumped. She knew what that meant. Sectionals. The first step back. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then, slowly, she typed, "Tell him I'll be there." The alarm blared at 5:30 a.m., slicing through the quiet of Jasmine's bedroom. She slapped it off instantly, her body thrumming with nervous energy before her eyes were even fully open. She'd barely slept. Every time she'd closed her eyes, she'd seen the mat. Felt Tyler's weight against her. Heard the slap of his hand signaling defeat. And now, Coach wanted to see her. Jasmine dressed mechanically. Jeans, hoodie, sneakers. Her movements precise despite the lack of sleep. The house was silent as she crept downstairs. The only sound the quiet hum of the refrigerator. She scribbled a note for Malik and her mom. Asterisk gone to school early. Don't worry. Asterisk, and slipped out the front door. The morning air was crisp. The sky still dark at the edges as she pedaled toward Lincoln High. Her breath fogged in front of her. The rhythmic click of her bike chain keeping time with her racing thoughts. What did Coach want? Was it really about sectionals? Could she even do this? The school loomed ahead, its windows dark except for a single light in the wrestling office. Jasmine leaned her bike against the rack and took a deep breath, steeling herself before pushing through the front doors. The halls were eerily empty, her footsteps echoing as she made her way toward the wrestling room. The door was slightly ajar, light spilling out into the hallway. Jasmine knocked. "Come in." Coach Reynolds sat behind his cluttered desk, a stack of papers in front of him. He looked up as she entered, his expression unreadable. "You wanted to see me?" Jasmine hovered near the door, suddenly unsure. Coach set down his pen. "Sit." She did, perching on the edge of the chair across from him. The office smelled like old coffee and sweat, the walls plastered with team photos and tournament brackets. Coach studied her for a long moment. Then he slid a sheet of paper across the desk. Jasmine looked down. It was a lineup sheet for sectionals. Her name was penciled in at 135 pounds. Her stomach dropped. "I can't," she said immediately. "Why not?" "I'm not." She struggled for the right words. "I'm not ready." Coach leaned back in his chair. "You looked plenty ready yesterday. That was different." "How?" "It wasn't real," Jasmine snapped. "It was just some stupid. It was real enough for Tyler." Coach's voice was calm. "Real enough for the team. Hell, real enough for you, judging by how you wrestled." Jasmine clenched her fists. "You don't understand." "Then explain it to me." The words lodged in her throat. How could she explain the fear? The memory of pain so sharp it had stolen her breath? The months of rehab, of learning to walk again, only to be told she might never wrestle at the same level? Coach sighed. "Jasmine, I'm not going to force you into anything, but I'm going to ask you one question." She looked up. "Do you miss it?" The question hit like a body slam. Jasmine opened her mouth, closed it. The truth was, she did miss it. Missed the way the world narrowed to just her and her opponent. Missed the rush of a perfectly executed move. Missed the person she'd been before the injury. Confident, unstoppable, whole. But saying it out loud? That made it real. Coach watched her carefully. "I'm submitting the lineup today. If you want your name off it, I'll take it off. But if you leave it on..." He shrugged. "We could use you." Jasmine stared at the paper. Her name looked so small there. Just one among many. But it was her name. Her choice. She took a deep breath. "Leave it." The moment Jasmine stepped into the school hallway, she knew something was different. Students who had never glanced her way before now turned as she passed, their whispers trailing after her like shadows. A group of freshmen near the water fountain actually stopped talking as she walked by, their eyes wide with something like awe. Emma appeared at her locker like she'd been lying in wait. "Oh my God, you're alive." Jasmine blinked. "Why wouldn't I be?" "Because I texted you like 8 times last night." Emma shoved her phone in Jasmine's face, the screen showing a string of increasingly dramatic messages. Asterisk, did Coach offer you a spot? Asterisk. Asterisk hello? Asterisk. Jasmine, if you died, I swear to God. Jasmine pushed the phone away. I was sleeping. Aha. Emma crossed her arms. And what did he offer? You. A. Spot. Jasmine hesitated. The words felt too big to say out loud, like speaking them would make everything real. But Emma was staring at her with those huge, expectant eyes. And, yeah, she admitted quietly. At 1:35, Emma squealed, loud enough that several nearby students turned to stare. I knew it! Oh my God, this is huge! Do you know how long they've been trying to fill that spot? Rodriguez is basically a walking forfeit at this point. And... Emma! Jasmine cut her off, lowering her voice. It's not a big deal. Not a, Jasmine. This is sectionals. If you place, you go to regionals. And if you place there... I know how it works, Jasmine snapped, sharper than she'd intended. Emma recoiled slightly, and Jasmine immediately felt guilty. She took a deep breath. Sorry. It's just... a lot. The warning bell rang, saving her from further explanation. Emma gave her a searching look but didn't push. Meet me at lunch? I want details. Jasmine nodded, relieved for the reprieve. History class was a blur. Jasmine stared at the board without seeing it, her mind replaying the conversation with Coach over and over. Leave it. She'd said the words. Committed to it. So why did she feel like she was standing on the edge of a cliff? Miss Carter. Jasmine blinked. Mr. Kowalski was staring at her expectantly. The entire class turned in their seats. Sorry, what? I asked if you could tell us about the impact of Title IX on women's sports. A few snickers rippled through the room. Jasmine straightened in her seat, pushing her thoughts aside. It was passed in 1972. Prohibited sex-based discrimination in any school program receiving federal funds, including athletics. Mr. Kowalski nodded. And how do you think that's impacted opportunities for athletes like yourself? Jasmine froze. The question felt loaded, like he knew about her conversation with Coach. But that was impossible unless... Her eyes flicked to Emma, who suddenly became very interested in her notebook. Traitor. Jasmine chose her words carefully. It leveled the playing field. Literally. A few students chuckled. Mr. Kowalski smiled. Indeed. And do you think there's still progress to be made? Jasmine thought of the wrestling room, the way the boys had looked at her when she first walked in, like she was an intruder in their space. The way Tyler had smirked when she'd hesitated before their match. Yeah, she said quietly. I do. The wrestling room was unusually quiet when Jasmine arrived after school. Only a handful of team members were there, scattered across the mats in various states of warm-up. Marina spotted her first. Look who decided to show. Jasmine dropped her bag by the wall. Where is everyone? Film study with Coach. Marina stretched her arms overhead. Except Rodriguez. He quit. Jasmine froze. What? Marina shrugged. After hearing you took the spot, he bailed. Can't say I blame him. Jasmine's stomach twisted. She hadn't even considered how her decision would affect him. I didn't mean. Relax. Marina rolled her eyes. Kid was terrible anyway. You're doing the team a favor. That didn't make Jasmine feel any better. Coach Reynolds emerged from his office, clipboard in hand. All right, listen up. Sectionals are in 4 weeks. That means 4 weeks to get Carter up to speed. Jasmine's head snapped up. Wait, what? Coach ignored her. Torres, you're drilling with her today. I want basics, stance, motion, setups. Nothing fancy. Marina nodded. Got it. Jasmine stepped forward. Coach, I don't need. You need everything. Coach cut her off. A year off is a lifetime in this sport. We're starting from scratch. The word stung, but Jasmine knew he was right. She'd gotten lucky against Tyler. Muscle memory and adrenaline carrying her through. But real competition? That required more than luck. Maria smirked. Don't look so scared, Carter. I'll go easy on you. Jasmine scowled. I'm not scared. Prove it. 2 hours later, Jasmine was drenched in sweat, her muscles screaming in protest. Marina had been anything but easy, pushing her through drill after drill with relentless precision. Again, Marina ordered as Jasmine sprawled against another shot. Hips lower. You're leaving too much space. Jasmine gritted her teeth and reset. Her knee ached, but it was a manageable pain, the kind that came from hard work, not damage. Marina shot in again. This time, Jasmine's sprawl was textbook perfect, her hips driving down as Marina hit the mat with a grunt. Better. Marina rolled to her feet. But you're still hesitating before you shoot. Jasmine wiped sweat from her brow. I'm not hesitating. You are. Marina stepped closer. It's tiny, but it's there. Like you're second-guessing your knee. Jasmine opened her mouth to deny it, but the words died in her throat. Because Marina was right. Every time she went for a takedown, there was that split-second pause, the ghost of pain remembered. Marina's expression softened slightly. Look, I get it. But if you're going to compete, you can't hold back. Not even a little. Jasmine knew she was right. But knowing and doing were two very different things. Coach's whistle cut through the room. All right, hit the showers. Carter, stay after. The team dispersed, leaving Jasmine alone with Coach. He studied her for a long moment before speaking. How's the knee? Jasmine flexed it experimentally. Fine. No pain. Nothing unusual. Coach nodded. Good. Because we need to talk about expectations. Jasmine tensed. Sectionals is in 4 weeks, he continued. Realistically, that's not enough time to get you back to where you were. The words landed like a punch. Jasmine had known this, of course, but hearing it out loud. But, Coach said, with your technique, you don't need to be at 100% to be competitive. Jasmine blinked. What? Coach pulled out a stack of papers, tournament brackets from previous years. At 135, most girls rely on strength over skill. You've got both. That gives you an edge. Jasmine stared at the brackets, her mind racing. Was he saying she could actually win? Don't get ahead of yourself, Coach warned, as if reading her thoughts. This isn't about winning. Not yet. This is about seeing where you're at. Jasmine nodded slowly. One more thing. Coach's expression turned serious. Tyler's been asking about you. Jasmine's stomach dropped. What about me? He wants to know if you're planning to wrestle off for the 182 spot. Jasmine gaped at him. That's insane. I'm not. I know. Coach held up a hand. I told him no. But he's persistent. Jasmine groaned. Of course he was. Just be prepared, Coach said. He's not going to let this go. As if on cue, the wrestling room door banged open. Tyler strode in, his eyes locking onto Jasmine immediately. Speak of the devil, Coach muttered. Tyler marched up to them, his jaw set. We need to talk. Jasmine crossed her arms. About you taking my spot. Jasmine stared at him. I'm not taking your spot. I'm at 135. Tyler shook his head. Not for long. What's that supposed to mean? Tyler's grin was all teeth. It means I talked to Coach. We're moving you up. Jasmine turned to Coach Reynolds, her heart pounding. What is he talking about? Coach sighed. Tyler seems to think. I know, Tyler interrupted, that you're wasting your time at 135. You want a real challenge? You want to prove you're back. He stepped closer, his voice dropping. Then wrestle me at 182. For real this time. Winner takes the spot to sectionals. The room seemed to tilt around Jasmine. This was insane. Reckless. But the worst part? A small, traitorous part of her wanted to say yes. Jasmine's hands clenched into fists at her sides. The wrestling room suddenly felt too small, the air too thick. Tyler stood inches away, his challenge hanging between them like a live wire. You're out of your mind, she said, her voice low. Tyler's grin didn't waver. Am I? Coach Reynolds stepped between them. Morgan, we've been over this. Carter's at 135. End of discussion. But Coach. No. Coach's tone left no room for argument. Sectional's lineup is set. Now get changed. Practice starts in 5. Tyler held Jasmine's gaze for a beat longer before turning away, his shoulders stiff with frustration. Jasmine exhaled slowly. the tension in her chest unraveling just slightly. Coach waited until Tyler was out of earshot before speaking again. "Ignore him. He's just rattled." Jasmine raised an eyebrow. "Rattled? Tyler's never had real competition before," Coach said quietly. "Not like you." The words should have felt like a compliment. Instead, they settled like a weight on Jasmine's shoulders. She wasn't sure she was competition for Tyler. Not at 182 pounds, not after a year off. But the way he'd looked at her, like she was a threat, like he needed to prove himself against her. It was the same look she'd seen in the mirror before every big match. Practice was brutal. Coach ran them through conditioning drills until Jasmine's lungs burned and her legs trembled. By the time they moved to live wrestling, she was drenched in sweat, her muscles screaming with every movement. Marina smirked as they tied up. "Tired already?" Jasmine shot her a glare. "Shut up." They went hard, their bodies slamming together with a force that echoed through the room. Jasmine could feel the team watching them, their whispers carrying over the sound of skin hitting mat. "Did you see that? She's going to get wrecked at sectionals. No way she lasts the season." Jasmine tuned them out, focusing instead on the rhythm of the match, the push and pull, the give and take. Her body remembered this dance, even if her mind still hesitated. A sharp whistle cut through the noise. "All right, circle up," Coach called. The team gathered around him, breathing hard. Jasmine wiped sweat from her brow, her knee throbbing dully. "Sectionals are 4 weeks out," Coach said, pacing in front of them. "That means 4 weeks to clean up your technique, 4 weeks to get in shape, 4 weeks to prove you belong on that mat." His eyes flicked to Jasmine, just for a second, but it was enough. "You think you're ready?" Coach challenged. "Prove it. Live matches, starting now. Morgan, you're up first." Tyler stepped forward, rolling his shoulders. "Against Carter." The room went dead silent. Jasmine's stomach dropped. "Coach." "No arguments," Coach cut her off. "You want to compete? Then compete." Tyler's grin was all teeth. "Looks like you got your wish, Carter." Jasmine's pulse roared in her ears. This wasn't what she'd wanted. This wasn't part of the plan. But as she stepped onto the mat, the team forming a loose circle around them, one thing became painfully clear. There was no backing out now. They faced off at the center of the mat, the air between them crackling with tension. Tyler's eyes gleamed with something fierce, something hungry. Jasmine took a deep breath, settling into her stance. Coach's whistle blew. Tyler shot first, his body slamming into Jasmine's with enough force to knock the breath from her lungs. She sprawled instinctively, her hips driving down, but Tyler's momentum carried them both to the mat. The impact sent a jolt through Jasmine's bad knee. Pain lanced up her leg, sharp and sudden. For one heart-stopping second, her vision whited out. Then instinct took over. Jasmine twisted, her hips rolling as she reversed their positions, her arms locking around Tyler's waist. The team's cheers faded into white noise as she fought to maintain control, her muscles burning with the effort. Tyler bucked beneath her, his strength undeniable. "Not bad, Carter," he grunted, "but not good enough." With a sudden burst of energy, he rolled them, his weight pinning Jasmine to the mat. She barely managed to get her shoulders off the ground, her arms trembling with the strain. The whistle blew. "Point to Morgan," Coach called. "Reset." Jasmine scrambled to her feet, her knee protesting sharply. She ignored it, settling back into her stance. Tyler smirked. "Still think you belong here?" Jasmine didn't answer. The whistle blew again. This time, she shot first. Her takedown was clean, precise, the kind of move she'd drilled 1,000 times before the injury. Tyler hit the mat hard, his breath leaving him in a whoosh. Before he could recover, Jasmine locked in a half Nelson, her hips driving down as she fought for the pin. Tyler thrashed, his face turning red with effort. "Get off!" Jasmine leaned in, her mouth near his ear. Tap. For a second, she thought he might actually do it. Then, with a growl, Tyler bridged hard, flipping them both over. Jasmine's back hit the mat with a thud, Tyler's weight pressing down on her. The whistle blew. "Match to Morgan," Coach announced. The team erupted. Tyler rolled off her, breathing hard. "Told you," he panted. Not good enough. Jasmine sat up slowly, her knee screaming in protest. She met Tyler's gaze evenly. Rematch. Tomorrow. Tyler's eyebrows shot up. Then slowly he grinned. Looking forward to it. Jasmine limped into the empty locker room, her knee throbbing with every step. The sharp pain from the match had dulled to a persistent ache, but it was enough to make her grit her teeth as she lowered herself onto the bench. She should have known better. Wrestling Tyler at full strength, at his weight class, after only a few days back? It was reckless, stupid, and yet, she couldn't stop replaying the match in her head, the way Tyler's eyes had widened when she'd taken him down, the split second of panic before he'd countered. For that one moment, she'd had him, and it had felt good. The locker room door creaked open. Jasmine didn't need to look up to know who it was. "Here to gloat?" she asked, her voice flat. Tyler dropped his bag on the bench across from her. "Nah." He pulled an ice pack from the team cooler and tossed it to her. "Here to talk." Jasmine caught the pack, hesitating before pressing it to her knee. The cold bit through her sweatpants, soothing the ache almost instantly. Tyler watched her for a long moment before speaking. "You're holding back." Jasmine stiffened. "What?" "On your shots." Tyler mimed a takedown. "You hesitate right before you commit. Like you're scared." "I'm not." "Don't bullshit me." Tyler's voice was sharp. "I saw it today. I saw it when we first wrestled. You've got the skill, but you're pulling your punches." Jasmine's grip tightened on the ice pack. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Don't I?" Tyler leaned forward, his elbows on his knees. "I've watched every match of yours I could find online. Pre-injury, you were fearless. Now," he shook his head, "you wrestle like you're waiting to get hurt again." The words hit like a gut punch, because he was right. She was scared. Scared of the pain, scared of Rain Jury, scared of finding out she wasn't the wrestler she used to be. And Tyler had seen it. Jasmine looked away. "Why do you care?" Tyler was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was quieter than she'd ever heard it. "Because I know what it's like to lose something you love." Jasmine glanced up, surprised. Tyler's jaw was tight, his eyes distant. "My sophomore year, I blew out my shoulder. Doctors said I might never wrestle again." He shrugged. "Took me 8 months to get back on the mat. And when I did," he met her gaze. "I was scared shitless." Jasmine stared at him. She'd never imagined Tyler, cocky, brash, untouchable Tyler, could feel fear like that. "What changed?" she asked quietly. Tyler's mouth quirked. "I realized being scared was better than not wrestling at all." The words settled between them, heavy with meaning. Jasmine looked down at her knee, the ice pack dripping condensation onto the floor. She thought about the months of rehab, the frustration of watching her teammates compete without her, the hollow ache of missing something that had once defined her. And she realized something. She was tired of being scared. Tyler stood, slinging his bag over his shoulder. "Rematch tomorrow. No holding back." Jasmine met his gaze. No holding back. For the first time, she meant it. The morning of sectionals dawned gray and cold, the kind of damp chill that seeped into bones. Jasmine stood in front of the school, her bag slung over one shoulder, watching her breath fog in the air. The team bus idled nearby, its engine rumbling as the rest of the wrestlers filed on. 4 weeks of brutal training had led to this. 4 weeks of early mornings and late nights, of ice packs and aching muscles, of pushing herself further than she'd thought possible. And now it was time to see if it had been enough. "Hey!" Jasmine turned. Tyler stood a few feet away, his duffel bag in hand. He looked different today. No smirk, no swagger. Just quiet focus. "You ready?" he asked. Jasmine adjusted the strap of her bag. "As I'll ever be." Tyler nodded, like that was answer enough. "Don't overthink it out there. Just wrestle." Jasmine exhaled slowly. Just wrestle. As if it were that simple. The gymnasium was packed when they arrived, the air thick with the smell of sweat and anticipation. Teams from across the region milled about, their warm-ups a blur of colors. Jasmine followed her teammates to their assigned area, her stomach twisting with nerves. Marina bumped her shoulder. "Don't puke." It's bad luck. Jasmine shot her a look. I'm not gonna puke. You look like you're gonna puke. Jasmine swallowed hard. I'm fine. Coach Reynolds handed her the bracket. First match is against Sanchez from Ridgeview. She's tough but sloppy on defense. Use that. Jasmine scanned the sheet, her pulse jumping when she saw the names. If she won her first 2 matches, she'd likely face Martinez in the semifinals. The same girl who'd beaten her in the state quarterfinals last year. The girl she'd been wrestling when her knee gave out. Jasmine's hands shook. She clenched them into fists. Hey! Coach's voice was low, steady. You're not the same wrestler you were a year ago. Jasmine looked up. You're better. The first match was a blur. Sanchez came out aggressive, shooting early and often, but Jasmine was ready. She sprawled, countered, and within a minute had Sanchez on her back, fighting for the pin. The ref's hand slapped the mat. Winner by fall, Carter. The team erupted. Jasmine barely had time to process the win before Marina was dragging her to the sidelines, shoving a water bottle into her hands. Told you you'd be fine, Marina said, grinning. Jasmine wiped her mouth, her breathing still uneven. 1 down. The second match was harder. Her opponent, a wiry girl from Westfield, had a reach advantage and used it well, keeping Jasmine at bay with long arms and quick feet. By the third period, the score was tied 4-4, both girls drenched in sweat. Jasmine's knee ached, but she ignored it, focusing instead on the way the girl favored her left side when shooting. A weakness. When the whistle blew, Jasmine feinted right, then shot left, driving hard into the girl's weaker stance. They hit the mat with a thud, Jasmine scrambling for control as the crowd roared. 10 seconds, the ref called. Jasmine locked in a half Nelson, her muscles screaming as she fought to turn the girl. 5 seconds. 4. The girl bridged hard, nearly reversing them, but Jasmine held on, her grip iron tight. The buzzer sounded. Winner by decision, Carter. Jasmine collapsed onto her back, gasping for air. She'd done it. She was in the semifinals. Against Martinez. She found Tyler warming up near the bleachers. He'd already won his first 2 matches, his path to the finals all but guaranteed. He took one look at her face and knew. Martinez. Jasmine nodded, her throat tight. Tyler tossed her his water bottle. You got this. You don't know that. I do. His voice was certain. Because you're not afraid of her. You're afraid of what she represents. Jasmine stared at him. Tyler shrugged. Psychology minor. Despite everything, Jasmine laughed. The whistle blew. Martinez stared across the mat, her expression unreadable. She looked exactly as Jasmine remembered. Tall, lean, her dark hair pulled back in a tight braid. The girl who'd ended her season. The girl who'd haunted her dreams. Jasmine settled into her stance, her heart pounding. Just wrestle. Martinez shot first, her long arms wrapping around Jasmine's legs. Jasmine sprawled, her hips driving down, but Martinez was strong. Stronger than last year. They hit the mat hard, scrambling for control. The crowd faded away. There was only the mat. Only the fight. Jasmine twisted, reversing their positions, her arms locking around Martinez's waist. For a second, she had the advantage. Then Martinez bridged, flipping them with a grunt. Jasmine's back hit the mat. Pain shot through her knee as Martinez drove down, her weight pressing Jasmine into the mat. Just like last time. For a split second, panic surged. But then Jasmine heard Tyler's voice in her head. You're not the same wrestler you were a year ago. With a snarl, Jasmine bucked hard, her hips driving up as she rolled Martinez onto her back. The crowd roared as Jasmine locked in a cradle, her arms trembling with the effort. Martinez fought, her legs kicking, but Jasmine held on. Pin! The ref shouted. The buzzer sounded. Jasmine looked up, disbelieving. She'd done it. She'd won. The finals were almost anticlimactic. Her opponent, a freshman from Jefferson, was good but inexperienced. Jasmine controlled the match from the start, her movements sharp, precise. When the final whistle blew, the score was 8-2. Jasmine Carter was a sectional champion. The team surrounded her after the podium ceremony, their cheers deafening. Coach Reynolds clapped her on the back, his grin wider than she'd ever seen it. "Regionals next," he said. Jasmine nodded, still dazed. Tyler pushed through the crowd, his own gold medal around his neck. He didn't say anything, just held out a fist. Jasmine bumped it. No words needed. On the bus ride home, Jasmine leaned her head against the window, watching the sunset paint the sky in gold and pink. Her medal rested heavy against her chest, a tangible reminder of how far she'd come. She wasn't the same wrestler she'd been a year ago. She was stronger. She was fearless. And she was just getting started.